Hi everyone, my name is Josephine. I'm 18 years old and I grew up in Wisconsin in the United States. I'm the oldest of 6 kids in a practicing Catholic family. It has been such a blessing to be at Holy Family Mission this year. I'm the youngest of year 9 and that's been a welcome perk. Going from the oldest of 6 to the youngest of 16 has been an adjustment, but it's a nice change of pace to be able to play the little sibling card. So I'm here to tell you a bit about me and how God has worked in my life and my response to all of his blessings. In the Catechism of the Catholic Church that we study here, it defines prayer as man's response to God. I really love this definition, and I've been trying to see my faith as a response to God, thanking him and listening to him and just talking to him. It's been a crazy journey to get here, so let me give you the backstory. I grew up going to Mass every Sunday, praying as a family before meals and bed. I attended a private Catholic school, although I was never really taught about a God who loved me personally and wanted to have a relationship with me. To me, God was a creator who had made our beautiful planet and who was supposed to be good. I knew all of these things, like the Trinity and Jesus present in the Eucharist, but I never knew why I was supposed to pray to him. I don't think I challenged my idea of God until I had a reason to doubt something that I knew about him. When I was 9 years old, my Catholic primary school closed. This might seem like something insignificant in the eyes of most people, but for me, it felt like my world was ending. My entire life was at school, all of my friends, and most of my faith was there. The first time I remember praying to God personally was in the grief that followed my school closing. I asked God how he could be good if he would take such a beautiful community away from me. Little did I know, the very year my school closed was the year that Holy Family Mission was founded here in Ireland. I didn't know this God-incidental fact until I came to HFM this year. I now realize that God's plan always sees the bigger picture. Our human experience tends to accept a loving and good God when our life is good. It's when we have a hard experience that we begin to doubt a good God. Something I learned, though, is that God only takes something away to give you something better. What I thought was such a terrible loss in the moment actually caused a chain of events to bring me here. I started at a new Catholic school the next year, but I struggled to find my place. Around the same time, my parents began to look for ways to involve themselves at our home parish. My mom found a newspaper article about a family that sold everything they had and joined a lay Catholic missionary organization that trained families and sent them out on foreign mission. She was ready to drop everything and go, but my dad wasn't. After a few years of praying and becoming more involved in my parish, my parents felt called to become foreign missionaries. Despite my parents' zeal, I was actually quite hesitant to this idea. I had never heard of missionaries, let alone Catholic ones, not to mention families who traveled the world telling the people about Jesus. Nonetheless, my parents brought our family to visit the missionary base, which is in Louisiana, only a 20-hour drive away. Everyone in my family felt instantly at home and were ready to move there, except me. I had so many doubts, like I had said before, and to top it all off, I was just settling into my new school after 2 years of trying to fit in. I'm not proud to say it, but I remember making life miserable for all of my family as they tried every way to console me as we packed up our whole lives and left almost everything to become missionaries with Family Missions Company. I wish I could say that once we moved, things got easier and I was able to enjoy the adventure that lay before me. But no. I was overwhelmed by the charismatic atmosphere, the hot weather, and yet another community I had to learn to fit into. Remember when I said that God always has a bigger picture? While I was totally inconsolable and irritable, my mom encouraged me to spend time with myself and Jesus in the chapel. I welcomed the alone time away from my excitable family who wouldn't stop talking about how great it was to be in hot, weird, and totally alien Louisiana. The funny thing is, God is so good. He works with the tiny cracks that we surrender to him. I came to him seeking a rant session, but I found that the more I showed up daily to the chapel, read my Bible, and wrote down what I felt, I began to hear God. Strangely, I became more and more excited about the idea of my family traveling the world and telling others about Jesus. I was pleasantly surprised to have found a friend in Jesus who listened to me, regardless of how I was feeling and what I told him. The charismatic community of Family Missions Company that I struggled with suddenly looked very different. They weren't just singing and praising God each and every day as some weird people club. It was out of genuine love for God and gratitude towards him that they had sold everything and moved their families across the country. Yet again, God took away something I thought was good to give me something better. However, my prayer life really began to suffer during COVID. I felt like God had turned away from me, and in the dryness of this time, I began to turn away from him. I felt really called to mission, but COVID kept us stuck in the States. I felt trapped, and even though I love my family, I felt that I needed good Catholic friends, which God did not seem to be answering my prayer for. The first few years of mission, I had a set prayer time every morning, and although it wasn't perfect, it was very good. Secondary school was really hard for me. I jumped from homeschool to public school and then a private Catholic school. I struggled with my faith because it wasn't normal to be praying to God daily like I did at my age. I was weighed down with feelings of loneliness and feeling forgotten. My relationship with God was quite rocky these past couple years. So how did I find out about Holy Family Mission? Last year, I was praying about what I wanted to do once I graduated secondary school. I had been telling a lot of people I didn't want to go straight to college. I was thinking of a gap year, working or doing ministry of some sort. My mom read an article about HFM in the newspaper and showed it to me. I thought it sounded cool, but it was a little too Catholic. In January 2024, my mom and I went on pilgrimage to the March for Life. Our first stop was St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. I was burdened by the fact that I still had no idea what I wanted to do next year. After Mass, we walked up to the image of Divine Mercy in a side chapel, lit a candle, and asked the Lord to guide me in my plans for next year. I felt so much peace, but no clear response. Fast forward a month later, my dad and I went to visit some friends in Steubenville, Ohio. While I was there, I scheduled a visit at Franciscan University. Meeting the students and staff there, I was delighted at the beauty of the campus and felt like this could be my next home. So I applied and I waited to hear back. I also remembered HFM and I applied as a backup. I got accepted to Franciscan, which was so exciting. But then the reality sunk in. The cost of tuition was more than what my family could afford. Once again, I was saddened and disappointed. I was frustrated with God, and I asked if he was really good. Why would he show me this beautiful community and allow me to be accepted if I couldn't afford it? Then I heard back from HFM. They wanted to set up an interview with me. Crazy, right? After an interview, which was my first time meeting anyone from Holy Family Mission, my heart began to hope. I felt so much joy and peace on the call. I felt like I could be myself, even though it was just a Zoom call. I felt that the desire of my heart was being fulfilled because I had really wanted to have an international gap year. Wouldn't you know it, on Divine Mercy weekend, I heard back from HFM, only a few months after praying in front of the Divine Mercy image at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Spoiler alert, they accepted me. God was granting this desire of my heart. A welcome bonus, I learned that part of formation includes a class on the Catechism with Franciscan University, because God never wastes anything. My time this year at HFM has been an incredible blessing. My prayer for good Catholic friends has been answered, and I feel so at home here. The Lord is giving me better things than I could have ever asked for. If you take anything from my testimony, please remember, God only takes things away to give you something better. Thank you all for your time. Please know of all of our prayers for you. Please continue to pray for us. God bless.